The containment protocol. The quarantine notification arrived on a perfectly ordinary Wednesday. No dramatic lights in the sky, no massive ships darkening the horizon. Just a simultaneous ping on every electronic device across the planet. The message appeared in each recipient's native language, the translation flawless down to cultural idioms and regional slang. By decree of the Third Space Council, representing the unified civilizations of the Orion Spur, Sol system is hereby placed under Class 4 containment protocol. All attempts to breach the established perimeter will result in immediate redirection. This measure is non-negotiable and permanent until evolutionary parameters are satisfied. Major Alex Frost had been in the middle of a routine systems check at NORAD when every screen in the facility switched to display the alien text. As director of UNISPACE, Earth's Unified Space Defense Initiative, he'd spent 15 years preparing humanity for first contact. None of those preparations had included being placed under what amounted to a cosmic restraining order. What exactly is a Class 4 containment protocol? Demanded General Rivera, the vein in his forehead pulsing dangerously as the emergency meeting of the Earth Defense Coalition convened 6 hours later. Alex displayed the translated documents on the central holotable. From what we've parsed, it's a system-wide barrier at the heliopause, the boundary where our sun's solar winds meet interstellar space. We're effectively grounded within our own solar system. On what grounds? The Chinese representative's voice carried equal parts outrage and disbelief. Alex swiped through the translated text. They cite our dangerous developmental acceleration and concerning cognitive architecture. Specifically, they mention our capacity for both extreme violence and extreme cooperation as an unpredictable combination. So they fear us, the Russian representative scoffed. No, Alex corrected. They're containing us. There's a difference. He brought up another section of the decree. According to this, our existing probes that have already crossed the heliopause will be permitted to continue, but any new attempts to breach the boundary will be, and I quote, redirected. Dr. Maya Okafor, Earth's leading xenolinguist, leaned forward. The translation is interesting. They're not threatening destruction, just redirection. It's the language of quarantine, not punishment. We're prisoners in our own solar system. General Rivera slammed his fist on the table. I prefer to think of it as an opportunity. Alex replied, surprising even himself with the optimism in his voice. They haven't destroyed us or halted our development. They've simply established boundaries. Major Frost, the Secretary General asked quietly, how do we respond to this? Before Alex could answer, a junior officer burst into the room, pale and breathless. Sir, we've detected an unauthorized vessel breaching Earth's atmosphere. It's small, approximately shovel-sized, and it's bypassed all our defense systems. The room erupted in chaos. If the Council could send ships through their barrier, what was to stop them from sending weapons next? Location, Alex demanded. Greenland, sir. Remote area, no population centers nearby. And it's broadcasting a message, on all frequencies, for you specifically, Major Frost. 20 minutes later, Alex stood in a military transport plane, gazing down at the gleaming silver craft nestled in the snow-covered landscape. It was unlike any vessel he'd ever seen. No visible propulsion systems, no seams or rivets, just a seamless teardrop shape that seemed to absorb rather than reflect the sunlight. Readings? He asked the technician beside him. No radiation, no electromagnetic emissions beyond the broadcast. It's just sitting there, sir. The broadcast had been simple. Alexander Frost. Come alone. Information critical to survival. Not Council. Against all security protocols, Alex had insisted on responding personally. Something in the message's desperation had resonated with him. The transport landed half a kilometer from the alien craft. Against vociferous protests, Alex approached alone, his breath fogging in the Arctic air. When he was 50 meters away, a section of the silvery hull simply vanished, revealing an interior bathed in amber light. A figure emerged, bipedal but definitely not human, standing nearly 3 meters tall, with iridescent blue skin and 4 arms. The alien regarded Alex with multifaceted eyes that reminded him of dragonflies. Alexander Frost. The alien's voice was surprisingly melodic. "I am Tavik, observer from the Neshari Collective. I risk extinction to bring you this warning. You're not with the Council." Alex kept his distance, acutely aware of the snipers positioned on the surrounding ridges. The Neshari were denied Council membership. "We are troublemakers." Something in the alien's voice suggested this was a point of pride. "What they have told you about the quarantine is a deception. Then why contain us?" Tavik extended one of his 4 arms, revealing a small crystalline device. "Humanity is not being contained because you are dangerous. You are being contained because you are valuable." The crystal projected a holographic display. DNA strands, brain scans, cellular structures, all human, but highlighted in ways Alex didn't understand. "Your species possesses something unique in our known galaxy, a cognitive architecture that allows for true intuitive leaps. What you call imagination or creativity exists nowhere else as it does in humans." Alex studied the projections. Every sentient species must have creativity. "No." Tavik's multifaceted eyes glinted. "Other species have problem-solving capabilities, pattern recognition, even artistic expression, but not the capacity to envision what has never existed, to create from nothing. This makes you dangerous, yes, but more importantly, it makes you valuable." "Valuable how?" "The Council races have reached an evolutionary plateau. Technological advancement has slowed to near zero over the last millennium. They need human cognition, but they fear it might disrupt their established order." Alex's mind raced with implications. "So the quarantine is temporary," Tavik confirmed. "Once they've completed their studies and developed methods to harness human creativity without the messy independence that comes with it, they will harvest what they need." Harvest. The word sent a chill through Alex that had nothing to do with the Greenland cold. "They will not destroy humanity," Tavik clarified, "but they will modify you. Remove the unpredictable elements while preserving the creative architecture. The result will technically still be human, but without the spark that makes you unique." Alex fought to keep his voice steady. "Why are you telling me this? Why betray the Council?" "Because the Neshari believe diversity drives evolution, because we were once modified by the Council ourselves, and we remember what we lost." Tavik's voice took on a deeper resonance. "And because if humanity can break the quarantine on your own terms, you will force the Council to reconsider its approach to emerging species." "Break the quarantine? How?" "You've seen their technology. We're centuries behind." Tavik extended the crystal toward Alex. "Perhaps not as far behind as you believe. This contains data on the barrier technology. It's not impenetrable. It relies on redirecting intent. If you don't know you're crossing it, you can't be redirected." Alex hesitated before accepting the crystal. Why would technology advanced enough to quarantine an entire solar system have such a fundamental flaw? "It's not a flaw." Tavik's mouthparts clicked in what might have been amusement. "It's a test. The Council may have officially quarantined you, but there are those among them who believe species that can overcome such barriers have earned their place among the stars." Before Alex could respond, Tavik stiffened, his dragonfly eyes widening. "They've detected my presence. I must leave." He backed toward his ship. "You have 1 planetary rotation before the Council sensors complete their calibration. After that, they will detect the information I've given you, and they will destroy it." "Wait," Alex called. "You said this was about human creativity, but the quarantine message mentioned our capacity for violence too." Tavik paused at the entrance to his craft. "Of course. What frightens them most is not your weapons, Alexander Frost. It's that the same minds that write poetry also build missiles. They cannot comprehend how these contradictions coexist within you." As the alien vessel rose silently into the sky, Alex clutched the crystal, his mind already racing with possibilities. The EDC would have 24 hours to analyze the data and develop a response before the Council detected their advantage. The containment had begun, but perhaps, as Tavik suggested, it was also a test, one humanity could not afford to fail. Breaking the barrier. Back at EDC headquarters, an impossible countdown had begun. 24 hours to analyze alien technology centuries beyond human understanding and formulate a response that might determine the fate of the species. It's legitimate, Dr. Eliza Way confirmed, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces as she parsed the data from Tavik's crystal. As the head of the EDC's quantum computing division, Eliza had been developing theoretical models for faster-than-light travel when the quarantine was announced. The barrier is a quantum membrane that spans the heliopause, not physically impenetrable, but designed to redirect conscious intent. Meaning what, exactly? General Rivera demanded, his patience wearing thinner with each passing hour. Meaning if you try to cross it, your navigation systems will malfunction in subtle ways, Eliza explained. You'll think you're heading outward, but you'll actually be redirected along the barrier. The brilliant part is you never know you were being contained. Alex studied the simulations, and Tavik's suggestion about crossing without knowing. That's where it gets interesting. Eliza's eyes lit up with the excitement of scientific discovery, despite the dire circumstances. The barrier reads intent at the quantum level. But if we could design a system where the navigational decisions were made randomly, truly randomly, not algorithmically, the barrier couldn't predict the trajectory to redirect it. Alex finished. Exactly. We'd need to build a quantum navigation system that makes billions of micro-adjustments based on true quantum randomness, not human intent. General Rivera scoffed. That would take years of development. Not necessarily, Eliza countered, pulling up a separate project file. My team has been working on quantum navigation for the Mars colony ships. It's experimental, but the principles are sound. With Tavik's data, we could adapt it within hours. Alex felt a surge of the very human optimism that had apparently concerned the Council so much. What do you need? Unrestricted access to the quantum computing grid and every physicist and engineer you can spare. Eliza's determination was palpable. And a ship. Something small, maneuverable, with minimal systems that could be affected by the barrier. 6 hours later, Operation Phoenix was underway. While Dr. Way's team worked on the quantum navigation system, Alex coordinated with space agencies worldwide to identify and prepare a suitable vessel. They settled on a prototype scout ship, originally designed for Martian atmosphere research, small enough to be overlooked, but with sufficient range to reach the heliopause. We're calling it the Firefly, Alex explained to the assembled EDC representatives. If Dr. Way's modifications work, it will be the first human vessel to intentionally breach the quarantine barrier. And then what? The Russian representative challenged. One tiny ship breaks through. How does that help Earth? It sends a message, Alex replied. It proves the barrier isn't absolute. More importantly, it forces the Council to acknowledge us as equals rather than specimens. You're assuming they'll respect the gesture, General Rivera warned. They could just as easily see it as provocation. According to Tavik, some on the Council are looking for exactly this kind of initiative. Alex countered. Either way, doing nothing means accepting their terms and eventual harvesting. The word sent a ripple of discomfort through the room. No one had forgotten Tavik's ominous warning. 2 hours later, the Firefly sat on its launch pad, its conventional systems retrofitted with Dr. Way's quantum navigation array. To everyone's surprise, Eliza had insisted on piloting the mission herself. No one else understands the system well enough to troubleshoot if something goes wrong, she'd argued. And eventually, Alex had reluctantly agreed. As launch preparations entered their final phase, Alex met with Eliza in the ready room. The Council will be watching, he warned. If they realize what we're attempting, The sensors confirmed what she was reporting. The Council vessels had followed her through. But instead of attacking, they had taken up positions around the Firefly in what appeared to be an honor guard formation. They're broadcasting. The communications officer reported, surprise evident in his voice. On all frequencies, all languages, just like the original quarantine notice. The message that appeared on screens worldwide was brief. By recognition of the Third Space Council, Sol Systems' provisional status has been upgraded from Class 4 containment to probationary contact. Representatives will arrive within one lunar cycle to begin formal diplomatic relations. The creativity of humanity is acknowledged. In the command center, cheers erupted as the implications became clear. Humanity had passed the test, not just by breaking the barrier, but by demonstrating the very qualities the Council both feared and needed. 2 weeks later, as preparations for the arrival of the Council representatives consumed every government on Earth, Alex received a private communication request. The face that appeared on his screen was Tavik's. "You succeeded more thoroughly than I anticipated." Alexander Frost. The alien's multifaceted eyes glinted with what might have been pride. "You knew it was a test all along," Alex accused, though without rancor. "I suspected. The Council has used similar methods with other species. Few pass. Why help us? The truth this time." Tavik's 4 arms made a complex gesture that the translation software couldn't interpret. "The galaxy stands at a crossroads, Alexander. The old powers have grown complacent. They need the fire that humanity brings, your impossible combinations of violence and compassion, logic and intuition, selfishness and sacrifice. And the Nishari, what do you gain? Change." Tavik replied simply. "The Council has maintained its hierarchies for too long. Species like mine remain on the margins, our contributions minimized. Humanity will not accept such treatment. You will demand equality, and in doing so, create space for all marginalized voices." Alex considered this. "They'll try to control us, won't they? Find ways to harness our creativity while minimizing our independence." "Undoubtedly. And you will resist, innovate, surprise them at every turn." Tavik's voice carried unmistakable satisfaction. "That is why I helped you, Alexander Frost. Not just for humanity's sake, but for all species who believe the galaxy should be defined by diversity rather than conformity." As the communication ended, Alex gazed out at the night sky, where somewhere beyond the visible stars, Eliza's tiny craft had changed humanity's destiny. The Council had sought to contain what they didn't understand, only to discover that the very qualities they feared, humanity's unpredictable creativity, our refusal to accept imposed limitations, were what allowed us to break free. The quarantine had been lifted. The real test of coexistence between radically different forms of intelligence was just beginning. But for the first time since the decree had arrived, Alex felt confident that humanity would find its place among the stars, not as specimens to be studied, but as equals to be reckoned with. After all, passing impossible tests was what humans did best.